What's up, viewers, subscribers, and agents alike? This your boy, Light Luciferian Prince, coming at y'all once again. And like I said before, I'm off the road, so to speak. Sitting here, getting ready to, rock and roll with the content on this motherfucking channel. Now, you agents don't like that. That's too damn bad. But I ain't gonna stop. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Your plans have been uncovered. And all I'm doing is just shedding light on it for people who don't know. So guess what? It is what it is. There's nothing done in the dark that will not come to the light. So, I'm going to go ahead and leave off on this previous segment. I'm going to go ahead and bring you up to speed on something I like to read to my audience because I like you to know that it's not my conjecture. It's not what I feel. It's not what I think. It's not what I pretend to know. It's what comes from garnered facts of history. So, agents, if you want to do anything against it, rewrite history. But as I said in my previous video before, you don't have the time length on the face of this earth to do that. The appeal of totalitarianism, such as Nazism, communism, and secular humanism, owe a great deal to the acceptance of the Big E, as do fascism, anarchism, atheism, and militarism. Now, the Big E is also known as the mindset of Hitler. Those of you who have the hardware, you already know what it's reading from. You know what it is. I'm not going to sit here and put on, YouTube. So somebody go out there and, do something that they don't have no business. Those who contact me, like I said before, I already emailed you. I don't email twice. Take away evolution theory from these belief systems, and they effectively lose the central premise necessary for their coherence. Yes, the Big E mindset, evolution theory, was a powerful influence on the mindset dominated Nazi and communist leaders. As the Holocaust swept into action, Heinrich Himmler regarded victims as vermin, as though he was handling a biological disease. Does a rat catch a thing? It is wrong to catch rats. As the Nazi defended in the Nuremberg war criminal trials, so came the death camps, in which millions of men, women, and children were exterminated. Gold watches, gold wedding rings, gold teeth, gold eyeglasses that the victims left behind were deposited into the federal bank. Well, I'll be damned. Did they do that in 1933? Took the gold and stuck it in their little coffers. According to their law, House Joint Resolution 192 proves they did. One witness admitted it took an extra 5 minutes to kill the women because they had to cut their hair off to be used in making mattresses. Of course, we cannot blame Charles Darwin and his colleagues personally for such gruesome practices, but we need to recognize that the unquestioning belief in evolution was a central feature of the Nazi belief systems and not just incidental to it. The Big E inspired communism. Again, evolutionary theory was essential to the communist purges of 60 million in USSR alone, and tens of millions more in China. The victim was regarded as nothing more than creatures expendable in the quest for a classless society. The central proposition of class struggle depended upon evolutionary theory for plausibility, because they always need an excuse in order to validate anything that they do wrong in order to justify the sick mind state that they possess. Yes, that's a proven fact. To be fair, one might not blame evolution or the evolutionary theory for the inhumane and degrading acts carried on by Nazism and communism. However, the impact of evolution needs to be placed in proper context. In other words, we need to give it due recognition. The Big E thinking inspires the globalists. A major part of the globalist hijackers' plan is to prepare us mentally to accept elimination of life as necessary. So, to systematically dull down the minds of the masses, they have been carefully preparing and using a compliant servant team of nice guy educators whose doctorate salaries and grants depend on towing the line, who will parrot the ideology that we're here by accident, not children of a creator, but useless eaters that are expendable to evolutionary progress. You realize, of course, that teachers, lecturers, and textbook writers are just the front men who stand up visibly. Most are probably honest men and women who are unsuspecting that they are being used. And many of them would just be aghast and an expendable idea. They haven't joined the dots, so they remain unwitting puppets. Just like so many people in the media, it has been observed that most journalists are so brain dead themselves, so lacking in understanding of what they are part of, that they, like most of the population, play a part in advancing an agenda they don't even know exists. That comes from Explanatory magazine, September through December 2009. Now, most people are unaware. The propaganda has already molded society's thinking. The people continue to remain, for the most part, blissfully unaware of what has happened and continue to believe the litany of globalist lies being poured upon them by their propaganda media organs. Never once raising any objection to billions of dollars being poured into perpetuating their ignorance. The globalist hijacker, in turn, are controlled. No, the issue is not just as a whole different organization. One chief player and his gang controls them all. The one chief player, what they say as Satan, so to speak, according to the doctrine of the Bible, has already taken our planet hostage. Its human globalist puppets are now strategically placed throughout the highest levels of power. And for the most part, we are acquiescing as they are influencing our lives. Unaware of the issues, most of us live in sympathy with our kidnappers. As I said before in the previous video, and Stockholm, a serious thing. It's very serious. So, there is a rescue plan. Why am I writing this, says the author? Because I hate to think that you and I are being cheated out of what a former editor of Los Angeles Times calls a world scoop, glimpsing in its importance. He asked in astonishment, why are you sitting on this? The world needs to know it. There is a rescue program. Ask yourself, if a credible, trustworthy, and all-powerful world figure were to show you a foolproof strategy guaranteed to end the current violence, corruption, and misery, would you be interested? And if he had also cracked the secret to life, extend you beyond your wildest dreams, with pain-free, productive, enjoyable living, what would that be worth to you? Well, not only is there such a rescue program currently underway, but the hijackers of our planet know it. They and their globalist puppets are determined, if possible, to sabotage the operation and to stop us from learning it. That is why I have called this forbidden secret. If you don't know, it is because it's explosive. That when common people discover it, they become ignited, invisible, and unafraid. That is why the globalist villains don't want an informed, empowered, and fearless population. They're obsessed with you becoming subdued, slumbering, and submissive to them so that they can be more easily execute their dark plans. Summary. Victims often acquiesce to their captors. 2. Globalists have captured our society through banking, manipulation, and media, and other major corporations. 3. We have acquiesced to their control. A. They have taken over the nations. B. Their agenda is to kill most of us. And C. They are lying to us. 4. Their propaganda agenda has shaped our thinking. 5. Directing them are the real hijackers, the Legion. 6. There's a rescue plan. 7. They are determined to sabotage that plan. And B. Even stop us from knowing about it. So, this is going into the concept of what I said before earlier. And I'm going to get into another segment of this because I want to expound upon it a little bit more. Because when people come to this realization, they swear that it's some sort of conspiracy theory. Well, a conspiracy, by definition, according to the simplistic form of the Webster's Anglo-Saxon Germanic English dictionary, means two or more people coming together for an otherwise unlawful purpose. And theory means particularly, in short, anything that cannot be proven by proof and or evidence. So it's a misnomer. It's one of those things where they say particularly, well, since you can't prove it by it being a conspiracy because we keep it in the shadows, it's a theory, and that means that they're afraid of you coming to the realization of what's really being known. See, the way to control people is never through bombs and guns and armaments and, bastions and tanks. That's very easy. That's overt. But it's very easy if you can control people by manipulating what they think, shaping their view of reality, pitting them against one another, because they love to say, again, going back to the Big E theory, that the whites are the superior race and the people of color, which is pretty much the rest of the population, is not worthy of life's existence. Although we, as the melanites, the melanated people, are the people who are the majority statistically, and you're the political minority making up the minds of the so-called people who you think are unworthy of human life. Well, this is why we have so much drama in society. George Floyd, the burning of buildings, and the protesting, and the police. All of this is manipulative, sociological conditioning. Why would I protest for a guy I never even met my entire life? B, why would I protest for a guy I never met my entire life? And also to mention, don't really know his historical background, don't really know his affiliations, don't really know if this is a propaganda campaign. You don't really know that. But because people are more, reactive than proactive, boom, they shoot for it. And C, if all of this is a means to an end, what is the agenda? It's to cause further division. And George Soros strikes again. Black Lives Matter is not an organic movement that we of people of color have ever started. Let us do it, then you would see what happened to the Panthers back in the 60s. They crushed them hard. But why not Black Lives Matter? Because it's not an organic movement. That's propaganda funded by someone who doesn't look like most of us. Then, here's all these attacks. They attack soft targets. They don't attack motherfuckers that they know going to do something. Women, children, and old people. They don't attack the male. See, they try to instill the fear into the male because they know that most of the time you make men bitchified, they're easier to control. But there are some of us on this earth that aren't bitches. Can't speak for us all, but I'm just going to tell you, I'm not one of them. So, in regards to that, all of this stuff, beyond the economic disparity, beyond the manipulations and the control mechanisms and the extensions on the isolations, all of this is being implemented not by society, but by those who have enough money to tell it what to do. If I make you broke and I make you dependent upon me to give you information to tell you not to go anywhere, y'all see who woke up. Not to go anywhere, so you can't economically be sufficient, but to also tell you that on the opposite end, you're under attack and all these things. So these things are fear mechanisms to keep you in the house. What is really the ends to the mean? Control. That's all it is. He who has the bread makes the rules. If I feed you and I tell you these things, then you will know, particularly you will be submissive to me. I control the food, which is most important. Money's not important because you can't eat money. You can try. I hope you would, because money goes in certain places, like, strippers, you know what I mean. I ain't got to go there. But food is what's most vitally important. But if you don't have the money to make the food, you're in very serious trouble. And this is the reason why I do what I do, and I've been doing this for years, because this is not a joke. You see what I'm saying? This is not a joke. This is a very serious situation, And with the false flags and the sociological issues and instances that's happening, let's be real, people. Black Lives Matter ain't in Chicago, where it's going down. They're not there. They're at all of these places, where it's just strategically set up. And you notice that if you also pay attention, they're always in some of the safest places in the city, close to the Capitol, close to, the security. They ain't never out there in the ranks of out of nowhere. No, they're not. They're in those little controlled, monopolized metropolitan areas, and not to mention, white people screaming Black Lives Matter. First and foremost, why are you mad about something that I'm not even mad about? I'm not even mad about it because my life matters to me. I don't care about that copyrighted corporate entity known as BLM. All that is just implementing so many other people's false sympathies into a controlled mechanism to get your ass to vote. That's all it really is, people. Believe what you want. Believe what you want. You got the freedom to think for yourself. But there's no way anybody that's opposite of my color should be mad about something that never happened to their people. That's foolish. People should be out there. But I'm not. Because I know it's a propaganda campaign. That's all it is. And it's going to happen again within the next few years. It's going to happen again. Trust me, people. It's going to happen again. Go back to Philando Castile, yada, yada, yada. What's the other guy's name? You name it, man. It's been happening since. It's going to keep going on until you wake up and find out that what you've been believing in has been shaped by people you'll never see. Take care, peace, love y'all. And agents, we know your plan, baby. We've been on you. We ain't coming for you. We've been on you. Y'all know it. Take care, peace, love y'all.